morning. Today I'm going to present you guys what my group is discussed. My name is Yulinda Rahma, and I'm going to read the first material. What is listening? Listening is a process of attaching meaning to the sounds and patterns that strike to your ear. When people merely hear a new language spoken, they receive a vague, overall impression of new sounds and intonation. In this situation, they need to listen to know what the content of their conversation in the learning language. In listening a new language or English, the greatest difficulties arise when the target language uses different sounds or use sounds that occur occasionally in Indonesian, but pass unnoticed because they are not phonemic. The skill of listening requires proficiency in three areas. The first one is discrimination of sounds. Second one is understanding of specific elements, and the last one is overall comprehension. In listening a new language or English, the greatest difficulties arise when the target language uses different sounds or use sounds that occur occasionally in Indonesian but pass unnoticed because they are not phonemic. For example, is "pit" and "pit". This word confuses us as Indonesian speakers because we don't have this phonemic contrast. Listening test. The main object of listening test is to evaluate comprehension. The student degree of comprehension will depend on their ability to discriminate phonemes, to recognize stress and intonation patterns, and to retain what they have heard. A marked comprehension problem for the language student arises from the difference between natural and stylized speech. For beginners, movie and television programs is the target language are often hard to understand. In intermediate and advanced class, that radio broadcast and foreign language film can provide a basis for listening comprehension tests. Ongoing research is exploring the role of listening comprehension in the development of the other language field. As more and more teachers trust the listening skill, they will find listening tests increasingly useful. The next material will be read by Fhiar. Fhiar,
Okay, my name is Fhiar Diana. I will explain about the sound system. The sound system is an essential point in the learning new language. For mechanical skill stage of the taxonomy, students can differentiate and discriminate among the phonemes, the phonetic pictures, the intonation curves, and the stress and accent patterns of the target language. And in knowledge and transfer stage of the taxonomy, students can attach meaning of these differences in sounds. Identifying the target language. To develop student sensitivity to the target language, the teacher can play this recording sound. You will hear 10 short recording. Listen carefully to each one. If the selection is English, mark A. If it is not English, mark B. Discrimination of sound in isolation. In acquiring proficiency in the target language, students learn to discriminate among the phonemes of target language, distinctive phonetic features of the native language and those of the target language. Next. Native language versus target language. Not all sound in the target language need to be tested. Those sound nearly identical in pronunciation and distribution in both the target and native language present no great learning problem. For example, if in English Water in German das Wasser. Water and Wasser have almost same pronunciation, but they don't present a big problem in learning. Okay, the next material will be read by Selin Lesiana.
Okay, my name is Selin Lesiana, and I will explain about the second one, the phonemes in the target language. Generally, the target language makes phonemic contrasts that do not exist in the native language. For example, you can use this recording to assess your students. You will hear two words. Listen to determine whether the two words rhyme perfectly with each other. Indicate your answer as follows. A. Rhyme. B. No rhyme. Here is a sample in German. The first one sounds
Fhiar, Fhiar,
sure. So the correct response is B because the two words have no rhyme. And the next is about discrimination of sound in lexical meaning. For intermediate and advanced students, the voice discrimination test may use familiar vocabulary. For such a test, students must be familiar enough with the word being contrasted so that the only element that determines their cars is one of the distinguishing voices. For example, you will hear two words or three words on your answer sheet. Indicate which word correspondent to the picture in your booklet or on the board, etc. Here is a sample in French. For A, poison. For B, poison. So the correct response is B because it's the picture is a fish and next is discrimination of sounds, structural meaning. The change in single sound may change the meaning of the grammatical structure or morphology. For example, we can use this recording to assess our students. You will hear a sentence once. Listen carefully to determine whether the subject and verb are singular or plural. Indicate your answer as follows. My house is near the forest. For, for the choices, A singular, B plural, C could be singular or plural. So the correct response is A singular because my house is. The subject is my house and the verb is and they are singular. The next is intonation test. For example, we can assess our student by giving some sentence in English. For example, are you asleep? And the correct response from the three choices is C because are you asleep have rising intonation. The next is stress and accent test. English stress is usually indicated by loudness and a rise in pitch. For example, we can use this recording. You will hear a sentence once. In your answer booklet, you will see two or three or four interpretations of the sentence. Select the phrase which best describes the sentence you have just heard and mark the corresponding space on your answer sheet. Here is a sample in Spanish. Sieste. For the choices, A. Yes, this one. B. Yes, he is. The correct response is A because sieste have a meaning yes, this one. And the next will be explained by Rahma Zandy.
Hello, my name is Rahma Zandy. I'm going to explain you about understanding vocabulary. The ability to understand the target language greatly depends on one's knowledge of vocabulary. Vocabulary is the broadest sense. Many commercial listening tests may be term-modified vocabulary tests since the current response to most of the item hangs on one or two word which, if understood, clinic the correct answer. Okay. The first one is body movement test. Listening comprehension may be assessed by asking the student to ca- carry out specific instruments, such as raising their left hands or opening their books. Bloody Body movement tests are more practical in the freer, more mobile atmosphere of the elementary school. Such tests do have their limitation. For example, when the teacher asks the student to raise the left hand or the right hand, to sit down or stand up, and etc. Next, drawing tests. Elementary school students enjoy drawing tests. Students may use pencil or crayon if color is used in the instruction. A short quiz might be composed of 4 or 5 pictures. For example, when the teacher gives an instruction to have a pink color, it means that the student have to draw a flower. Or if the teacher give instruction with blue color, the student have to draw a circle. All right, next, picture test. The potential of picture test in language classes has not yet been fully exploited. The possibilities are many, even for the teacher who does not artistically of uh, artistically gifted. Magazine picture Magazine picture cut out and mounted on cardboard can be shown in the class while the items are being read. For example, the teacher shown a picture of a tree and the student should know what is that picture. Or when the teacher give some gesture picture about something, it should be the student should be know what exactly the picture is. And next, conversation type test. uh, the student must isolate the keyword or the keywords in a short dialogue or conversation. If the keyword is used in its usual context, and if the understanding of the keyword means that the student will definitely select the correct option. Such item like vocabulary items. For example, there is a short conversation in the store. Uh, the student should know how to make short conversation about do it when they in the store. Or some example when there is two people conversation, the student should guess where exactly the place they've taken. And next, the material will be given by Rafi Risyadan.
Okay, hello, my name is Rafi Risyadan and I will goals of language teaching is enabling the student to think in the target language, to understand what is said without having to make a mental translation into their native language. Listening comprehension items can be employed to measure the case with which a student understand vocabulary. especially number and times in the target language, and then understanding structure. In order to understand the target language, the student must be able to recognize the pattern of the language. Although the ability to identify the syntax and the grammar of a language doesn't of itself imply the ability to use this element in speaking. It is not less true that unless the student can recognize pattern. Okay.
Okay, that will be all, right, guys? Thank you so much for joining our meeting and presenting our material. And I hope the teacher will be understand what we have presented. Thank you so much.